Good morning, friends, and welcome to Arizona.
If you're wondering whether you missed a chapter, you kind of did. This past week, I headed south towards the border to meet my parents for the holiday at an Airbnb. Little did I know, this day would hold a little less R&R and a lot more elbow grease than I had planned. I haven't seen the camper this naked in months. What started off as me noticing slight humidity in the air when we were in the desert has now turned into removal of trim, prying up of the underside of my bed, and realizing that there must have been some moisture droplets that settled and did not air out properly when I was up in Washington and Oregon, which now, just a week and a half later, has led to the formation of mold. Lesson learned, thankfully it's fixable, and thankfully we have a place to fix it this weekend. So let's get into it. Now that the wood is out, the real question is whether or not the mold actually got down below the underlayment. I have not checked yet, so let's do it together. So there's definitely some right here, but this is just very surface level. Like, I can wipe it away with my finger. Obviously not good, but not the worst it could be, just this little spot. All things considered, I am counting my lucky stars because there is not a speck of mold underneath that underlayment. But what I'm gonna go ahead and do now is make sure that this doesn't happen again. I'm gonna leave this all aired out overnight, turn on all the fans, and suck out anything that might be lingering behind. And in the meantime, I'm gonna go research and see what I can do differently this time to prevent this from happening again for myself or any potential future owners. I'm also gonna plug in the Bluetti because I unfortunately don't have any extension cords and I have a lot of work to get done and not a lot of time to do it, so I need as much power as possible over the next couple days. No matter how many times I do it, it never ceases to amaze me that when you plug in the Bluetti to a wall outlet, whether I'm at a brewery, an Airbnb, a coffee shop, it charges in less than 1.5 hours. For over 170 amp hours of power is just insane. With the bed fixed and the holiday behind us, it was time to get back on the road, but I never could have imagined everything that would come next. Hi, yes, this is Alexandria. Good morning. Yeah, I called last night to see if there was any way to get my dog Terra in to be seen today on a more urgent basis. Well, with some gas station coffee in hand, Terra and I are on our way to Sedona, Arizona this morning. Honestly, very unexpectedly. I was in Vegas yesterday with my parents celebrating the remainder of the Christmas holiday when we noticed that Terra had some growths around her eyes, on her neck, and ears. And obviously that's never a good sign, but I think I really started to get freaked out when they started bleeding. It's safe to say I'm pretty freaked out. When anything goes wrong with her, it's nerve-wracking, but to have something come on so suddenly and for her to seem so uncomfortable just really hurts my heart. So I'm very grateful they were able to get us in today. We're gonna get there as fast as we can and hopefully get her seen and have this taken care of. I truly don't think I have ever been happier for Terra to have had a severe allergic reaction, is how they classified it. When I had called, it was an extremely urgent matter. They said that I get her in as soon as possible. When I researched online, it looked like it could be a hemangiosarcoma, which is the type of cancer that Goldens fall prey to. And I truthfully have just been panicked since this started. So I think I'm like on a high right now. I'm gonna take her to the pet store. She was such a good, brave girl to get her temperature taken. They had to check her eye for ulcers, all sorts of kind of invasive tests. So we're gonna go get her a treat, then figure out where we're headed next to celebrate. Well, that was an unbelievably stressful, but ultimately very, very positive result to our morning. I have been stressed over this for multiple days and just am so relieved that Terra is going to be okay. All that said, we've found camp for at least today. I'm probably going to be heading out of the area very soon, just with our upcoming Baja plans now that I know that is a go, because if I'm being honest, everything has been kind of mentally put on hold for the past few days, just not knowing what was going on with her. It's full steam ahead. We're getting ready for Baja in the coming weeks, and I can't wait to start planning all of our adventures. But in order to plan for everything that's coming up, I need internet, and unfortunately, as beautiful as this site is, it does not have any service. So I'm gonna go ahead and get Starlink plugged in, and while I do that, let's hear a word from today's sponsor, Bluetti. Now, even if you've heard me talk about Bluetti before, even myself as someone who's been using their products from the AC60 and B80 all the way up to now the AC200L and PV200 system, I have been blown away over the past week with the power of Bluetti. In the past, it's been somewhat of a luxury and a backup when I've run out of power, for example, in the Pacific Northwest, or I wanted to make cinnamon rolls or use my air fryer in Stanley for my birthday. But lately, it's become a necessity. As Terra and I get ready to head down to Baja, one thing that's been heavy on my mind is connection to the internet, which is how I talk to all of you every week and how I run my business, without which I wouldn't be able to be on the road. And so I recently decided to upgrade my mobile US-based hotspot to an internationally accessible Starlink system. Now, the reason that I hadn't done this in the past was because I didn't have enough power, quite simply. Having recently gotten my hands on the AC200L though, I felt like we were finally capable of powering Starlink around the clock, not only for work, but for safety as a solo female on the road. Especially on days like today, where the sun is out and clouds are sparse, I'm easily able to plug in each of my 200-watt solar panels, which allows me to keep the Bluetti topped up all throughout the day. The only time that I really see it dip below 100% is overnight. Now, if you haven't heard of Bluetti before, I'll do a quick overview of the tech specs. The Bluetti AC200L comes with 2,048 watt-hours of capacity, which at 12 volts of power roughly equates to 170 amp hours. This is powered by what you could refer to as an inverter that has a 2,400 watt output. Now, I don't know what you guys have on the road with you, but that's more than enough to power nearly every single electronic that I have in here at the same time as my internet without worrying about blowing a fuse. Over the past few weeks, I've stayed at Airbnbs, camped with my parents in their big 26-foot, I think, it's huge, travel trailer, and during those times, I've been able to use the AC200L as a silent, natural gas-free, solar-powered generator. Now, in addition to everything else I just mentioned, Bluetti also has an exceptional warranty and customer service department that has been extremely helpful in getting my new unit set up over the past year, which is why I am so excited to continue to demonstrate how I use their products and how they serve Terra and I on the road for the year to come, and hopefully grab you guys some sweet deals in the meantime. So if you're like me and you live on the road full time, you're taking an extended trip this winter, or you just want a backup power system for your house, head to the link in the description down below and use my code WILDAC200L for $100 off through the end of January 2024. And thank you again to Bluetti for your long-term support of this channel. I can't wait to keep working with you all in the new year. probably my 5th or 6th time in Sedona, and no matter how many times or for how long I am here, it is never less magical. It's so beautiful. Well, unfortunately, on the last day before we leave Sedona, the clouds have moved in and it's kind of a dreary and cold day. The fact that I have 2 jackets on right now is blowing my mind in the desert, especially when most places around the country are super warm right now compared to how they normally are. But all of that aside, I figured that I would really quickly show you guys what I was mind mapping yesterday, because the last time I showed my journal and planner, this is kind of both, a lot of people had questions. So I'll insert an overlay here. This is what it looks like, and broken down by section there are 3. I call them my big 3, but call them whatever you want. 3 categories. The first one is health. I have realized over the past year that it's something that fell by the wayside when I was building, working, trying to start my own business and figure out how to do this whole YouTube thing. My health went on the back burner, and health is wealth, right? The better that I am, the stronger, fitter, healthier, more balanced that I am in my body and mental health, the better I'm going to be able to show up in my work and personal life. The second category is finance, and this is something that has been a priority for me over the past few years, essentially since being in and graduating from college. I graduated with some student loans. Those got put on hold. I went through the pandemic. I got into a bit of credit card debt. I sold things, I bought things, I left a job, I started my own business, and all of this has created a pretty tumultuous financial situation. And gratefully, I'm not in a terrible spot. I think this year I will be able to officially pay off my debts again, because I've paid them all off before, and start to really focus more on saving and investing for my future. And last but not least is my work/personal, and these 2 are kind of together, unfortunately for me, simply because my work is my life. Like, I share my life on here with you all, which means that a lot of my personal stuff, my relationships, the people that I'm around, kind of weave themselves into my work, show up in these videos. My travel plans change based off of that. But all the unpredictability aside, I want to set some consistency goals for myself. I can't predict how much money I will make. I can't predict how many of you I have in this community by the end of next year, but I can commit to being consistent and branching out to things like short form content. So that's where the majority of my goals lie for this year. All of that said though, today is my last day in Sedona. I will be leaving in a few short hours and actually meeting up with some friends down in southern Arizona for New Year's. No big plans, just wanting to get together with some good people in the desert, hopefully look at the saguaros and enjoy the last few hours of 2023. So on that note, I hope that you all have had a wonderful end to your year, a great holiday season. Thank you so much for being here this past year. Terra and I are so grateful to live the life that we do, and we couldn't do it without all of you. All right, I'll see you guys next week.